Well, dear Rebecca, it's saying we are live.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Live
I'm
Clint.
I am good. I'm going to my Facebook page to make sure that technology has not lied to me. Nope, we're live. It's official. We're there.
Yay, finally.
We've
It's
tried
been
this a
a
few
minute.
times.
Yeah. We've had bad luck trying to get this done.
Well,
So,
I've done a few with your husband who we'll
yes, you
talk
have.
about here in a minute, but me and you started talking about doing one based off sales and just stories, other things that we have in common. And
Yes.
then the internet and timing did not work out for us really
Did
well.
not. No, it did not cooperate. By the way, speaking
Yeah.
of stories, so we were actually reminiscing a little earlier
Who's
about
we? Oh, me and you. Yeah.
actually, El Jefe and
Ooh.
myself, when I reminded him we were going to be doing this, yeah, and he told me a couple of stories I had not heard yet. But I was just, and you probably don't even remember this because Clint Powell, you and I go way back, way back.
Yes.
Now I won't even say what year because then we'll just both feel old. But you may recall that actually my first job in sales was alongside you at a particular group of radio stations across town, and you were selling for the talk radio station along with Jeff, and
Yes.
I was selling for the classic rock station. And I actually, you may not remember this, I actually was one of two females, the other being Debbie Velp, if you remember
I
Debbie.
remember Debbie real well.
Yeah, she was awesome. She was my buddy. She and I were the only two females from the entire building that were willing to participate and play on the radio station team in the Toy Bowl. Do you remember that?
I do. It was I think we had coaches from the Tennessee Titans at the time were our coaches, weren't they?
Yes, they were. And we played against WRCB TV3. And,
I remember
and
there's some
we
stories.
Yes, there are several stories. I won't even go into those, but it was an absolute blast. And if I recall, the final score, we being the winners, was like 53-0.
We we wiped the
We
floor with them.
we dominated. We dominated. We really did.
So
We were a
I'll
really good team. And Debbie and I
I will.
played like a lot of the game. We were in a lot of the game. We were actually not bad. So I'm
Well,
so
we not
really
only
happy.
matched you two ladies up with their ladies, but we matched you up
We did.
sometimes with their guys, and y'all did very well.
Well, we weren't scared.
No, I will share one little funny story about that day.
Okay.
Frank Wycheck was our coach, and me and
I did
Dan,
not remember that. I did
yeah,
not remember
it was
that. Okay.
Frank Wycheck was ours, and the defensive back was the WRCBs. But so that's when Dan Manager, the Danimal, and I were playing rugby,
Yeah,
and
I did
we were
remember
on the we were
that.
on the front line rushing, and they had a camera guy there that was doing okay, but it was like three Mississippi, and we were playing to win, and they
Yeah.
put Paul Barris in front of me, and I trucked Paul Barris, and he got up and goes, "You're not a," and I like Paul, but he probably won't even remember it, but he was having none of it, sir.
I can't imagine. I can't. Well, all I can say is it was a really good thing that it was just, flag football or not flag football, but, no touch football
Yeah.
as opposed to actual tackle football because it would have been very painful
Well,
for some people.
it would have been.
Probably me too, but
We had Quake too, and
yeah,
Jeff and
Quake
big
was awesome.
athletes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Now,
I
now I
actually
bet
I actually ran the very last play of the entire game. You probably don't remember that.
no. Tell me about it. What did you score a touchdown?
I did not, and the only reason I almost did, but the reason I couldn't is because I was laughing so hard because I caught the football and started running with it because everybody else was just done. They
Yeah.
started walking off the field. So I just grabbed the football and started running with it. And as I crossed the 50-yard line and kept going, Wally W. Wikowski, who was on the sidelines, started yelling at the guy from the WRCB team to
Oh no.
see, I can't even say it. Yeah, you better not touch her blank. You better not touch her blank. I will kill you if you touch her blank. And I started laughing, and then I couldn't breathe. And then I just finally stopped and I said, okay, I'm done. That's
Yeah.
it. Laughing and running with the football towards the end zone does not mix.
No,
It's
that
hard
was
to, yeah, it's really hard.
those are
So
good times though. Good
it was
times.
such good times. Yeah, it was good times. That was a lot of fun.
That's back when I had this conversation with another mutual friend of ours, Libby Phillips,
Oh,
recently. When we used to sit and we'll have to watch the HR videotapes for how to have a good coworker, and we would watch it and then do in the meeting do everything that they were saying don't do, so we could just say we got it out of the way. Don't treat your
right.
coworker like this, and we would all treat each other that way. And I'd be like,
Oh,
HR meant nothing.
I thought you were gonna say that they would pull a video of Wally and say, "Don't do this."
I don't know how. I do not know how radio stations in the old days did not get sued all the time by men and women.
Right. But we had so much fun. That's the thing. Everybody just had fun, and it was just fun. It wasn't, nobody was trying to offend anyone. We just had fun. That's why I fell in love with it. That's what got me into the media. When I started there, I initially actually wanted to do sales, and that's all I wanted to do. But I got into that environment and it was just so energetic and people were so passionate, and it was just, I just fell in love with it, and I said, this is what I want to do. And I just was not, I could not try to do it. So I had to get on the air one way or the other. And unfortunately at that point, there was a steadfast rule that if you were in sales, you were never going to be on the air.
Yep.
And if you were on the air, you weren't going to do sales. And, you just couldn't cross that line. So I actually had to leave the radio station to go, pursue other means of getting into the media, which I eventually did, and launched a 15-year career in the media, which was fantastic. But that's what sparked it, was just being around, just all you crazy radio people. Just so much
Well,
fun. There's just
and
nothing like it.
well, we talked about this on the phone like a week or so ago, and we won't have the
Yeah.
whole conversation right here. But it used to be where I knew something offended Rebecca when she would say, "Hey, don't say that to me, dummy," and I
Yes.
would go, "Oh, okay, I don't need to say that to,"
Yeah.
or same vice versa. If I said, "Hey, Rebecca, that's not cool," we didn't lose friends. We didn't get
Right.
pissed off, and if it went to a certain level, then yeah, you had to. There, I'm not saying that everybody should just learn to live with everything. You got to have boundaries,
Sure.
but we
Yeah.
did seem to be have a little tougher, a little thicker skin back in the day, just a little bit.
Sure. Sure. Well, yeah, and it's a shame that we've moved away from that, I think, as a society, because our kids are growing up in a completely different environment where they're more and more sheltered from that. So instead of gaining that thick skin, they're being taught to just be offended by every little thing, which is a shame because they don't learn to actually voice their real opinions and
Right.
learn how to talk things out with people who have different opinions from you. And wouldn't it be a much better world if we still did that and could do
Well,
that, you know,
even
could do
today,
that
yeah,
with even today? Yeah, it would be a much different environment today, especially politically, if we could all still do that. But
it would
that's
be,
not
and
the case
I think
today.
it would also teach kids that there are boundaries, that some people, nobody's
Sure.
perfect. People are going to say things they regret. They're going to say things they have to learn from. Your job is to set boundaries for yourself, but it also, I don't know. It bothers me because I feel like we've got a society now to where I need to be offended. I need to tell on people. And then I think the real problems get lost in all the things that we should learn to handle on our own. Because there's
Right.
real problems out there. There are people getting taken advantage of. There's real racist things happening. There are people that are using power like they shouldn't use it, and those need to be addressed. And we need to lock arms together and go after them. But
Sure.
it's hard if everything's called something, then it's hard to find the real problems, I think, at least.
Right. Or it's harder to at least talk about them openly.
Yes.
Because
Hey,
here we are, talking about them, but even we feel, the need to hold back and not because you might offend somebody,
well, I think on the phone the other day, we were talking about race issues, and we won't go down that
Yeah.
road, but I will say that because I'm throwing me under the bus, I will say that it's harder for me because I don't mind talking about the country or myself with all flaws and all successes, but I am ultra white. I'm like, my superpower is white. I mean, I don't.
Your super whiteness.
Yeah, I don't know how you get whiter than Clint. And so there's some people that say you can't say anything. And I think, no, I live in the same world. It affects me. I got to say so. And then there's other people that say, I don't know. I just feel like I have I'm that white. I'm the white guy. I'm, and
The white guy.
I'm the white guy because I'm the poster child for it. Like,
I mean, you are really white. You got that.
This is me tan. I mean, I have got good color for me right now. And if the lights ever go out, just put me up front. The glow will light your way. It's dark. Get Clint up here.
Well, so what I was going to tell you was the story that Joe shared with me earlier about you is that you killed him in a one-on-one basketball game back in the day. Do you remember this?
Oh, do you? Yes. I don't know where to go with that.
At the sports
barn. Yeah.
Apparently you guys started talking and he was a good basketball player, but he had no idea. And I have to say, I was really surprised. Not that I would think you'd be a bad basketball player, but I was really surprised at how good he said you were. So, wow, Clint. I mean, just the mysterious man. Who knew?
He was on the radio and he said something and I said something and I don't know how it got. And I said, well, we should just ought to play. And then he said something on the air and I think that like 10 people showed up to watch us play this one-on-one game. And I'm like,
well,
are we getting paid? Do I have a sponsor? Jeff was a good athlete. He's a good athlete.
Again, you should have taken full advantage of that situation and gotten a sponsor. But he said that, as usual, the big man, rest in peace, Wallace W. Wikowski actually just egged it on and egged it on until you guys finally just you were forced to go to the sports barn and actually have a basketball game to just put it to rest once and for all. And the funny thing is, he said, you creamed him. Like, he just got a handful of points and that was it. And that's, that was very surprising to him because, again, he's a good basketball player. And he said that you made the comment to him that,
oh, no.
There are, no, it's good. It's really good. That you said, there are a lot of guys that can beat me at basketball, but you're not one of them. I was like, wow, Clint, good burn. Good burn. And you were correct. You were correct. Yeah.
I'll tell you a fun. I'll tell you. Now you got me going down memory lane. And Jeff's a great athlete. Wally Wikowski, and for people listening to this because around the country, sometimes tune in. He's passed away, but he is this guy that stuttered. They put on the radio and everybody was like, "That'll never work." He was awesome at it.
He was awesome.
He had a
People loved
personality.
him.
Yeah, he had a personality bigger than him, and he was like 6'5" or 6'6" and 350, 400 pounds. And one of the first things I ever did when I met Wally, because I'd listened to him before I ever met him, is we were in the hallway and I was testing if he could handle sarcasm. And I didn't know that he was he was as quick-witted as anybody I ever met. And I snapped at him, he snapped at me, and I said something else to him, and he goes, "You can go to hell."
That sounds like him.
I loved it. I loved it.
My first run-in with Mr. Wikowski, when I had first started at the radio station, I had no idea who he was. I walked in and he turned around without saying a word, dropped his pants, and he was wearing boxer shorts underneath with a big, huge smiley face.
Mhm.
I didn't know what to think. I was just like, okay, thanks.
And now people are wondering, this is what I'm talking about. Those HR tapes that they made us watch meant nothing. Nothing.
That was just Wally. And I learned to love him very quickly. And
he was a great guy.
I miss him. Yeah, he sure was. Miss him terribly.
Do you think Wally, though, and just to be honest with you, do you think that type of show, because even Jeff's shows changed not too much, but do you think that type of show could make it today? Because it was such a home field show. Do you think there's a place for it in radio today, locally? Like him and JR had that?
I think so. I think absolutely. Yeah.
I think it'd have been a great podcast, too, because then he could have really let it go.
He sure could have. Yeah. And I think, Wally in particular, could still pull off a show like that. I think that most people cannot pull off a show like that. But I think he could. And I think we're missing a lot of that these days, don't you?
Yeah.
I think with all the radio stations that are going to syndicated shows and, it just, there's less and less localized content, and to me, I miss that. I like localized content. And I think, that's what people like Jeff and Wally have always had going for them, is people feel like they know them because, they're real. They're just real, they're real people, and you get to know the real them on the air, and you feel like you know them.
Where did you go when you left talk radio? Where was your next stop?
I left talk radio. I actually went to the Chattanooga Times Free Press and sold there until I got my foot in the door actually doing on air, which was as a traffic reporter. So that was my first actual on-air gig, which I did for 3 years before I went to WDEF News 12 as an on-air reporter there. So went to radio first, then TV.
Did you once you got into the media, because you were in sales for a while, and we'll wrap it up. And I mean, when we come full circle later, we'll talk about what you do now, which is still kind of sales. It's fundraising, right? Don't you do fundraising? Sure. Okay.
I do.
I was hoping I got that right. I was like, crap.
Yeah.
Clint, I make pottery now. What are you doing, dude? No.
I should have really messed with you.
It would have been easy.
Missed my chance.
Did you like the sales world or the media world? Are they two different things and you like them equally?
Wow, that's a tough question. That's a very tough question. I like both of them.
Right.
And the bottom line is they both require a lot of the same skill set. The main central thing being relationship building. You can't do either of those without creating and keeping relationships and nurturing those relationships. I.e., when I was a reporter, the only way I could get scoops on big stories was to create relationships with people who could give me, scoops on stories. So I had to create relationships, and I had to be a trustworthy person that would, take, you know, um, stories that I would get and scoops that I would get from law enforcement officials, for example, and do my due diligence to tell the truth and take care of those stories and um, create stories with integrity and share them with with the audience, with my viewership. And so if I hadn't done that, I would never get another scoop to another story, right? So it's
Right.
all about building that relationship and being trustworthy. And the same with sales. It's not about actually selling. I don't even like that word, actually. It kind of has a negative connotation with me because it almost sounds like an order taker, you know, which is completely different from what a career sales professional actually does. And that's, someone who's actually a professional consultant who actually knows their product and is a problem, um, a troubleshooter, so
Yeah,
to
they have
speak.
solutions.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
have solutions to someone's problems, and they're more of a consultant than anything else. So it's like a totally different level to me. Um, so it's the same thing. You have to create relationships with people. You have to be trustworthy, and they have to believe in you, and they have to believe in your product
And
or
they have to believe you
service or
care
whatever
about
it
them
is.
too. They have to believe you care
Exactly.
about them.
Exactly. And that
Uh,
you're going to be accountable for whatever it is you're selling them. And you're going to take care of them and, solve the problems that they have. Or, they're not going to buy from you again. You can talk anybody into buying anything one time. But if you want them to buy from you, continually on an ongoing basis, you better be able to be accountable and, actually solve their problems.
Uh, so this is a deep question. Then we'll go back to fun stuff, and not that
Okay.
this is what I'm about to ask getting fun, but you were in sales and you were in the media, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but you are a female. I don't know if I can tell. You're a beautiful female, but we've had this kind of we've had this conversation before.
Uh-huh.
Every career has different obstacles, different challenges. Did
Mhm.
you see those and I'm going to get this wrong, so I'm clumsy. I'm not even going to try. What's your ancestry? What's your genealogy? Where are your family roots from?
So I'm a Venezuelan American.
There we
My
go.
father was full-blooded American and my mother was full-blooded Venezuelan. So
I was
I'm
going to say
Venezuelan.
Saudi Daisy and get that completely wrong.
Yeah. I got
Her
no Saudi Daisy in me other than occasional trips down to Saudi Daisy.
the blue hole maybe or something, wherever that's at.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but did you have some pushback because it seems like and I'm asking from remember I'm the super white dude that really
Mhm.
the doors kind of fling open for me magically all the time. Apparently, if you ask some people, I just walk around and opportunities are thrown at me. I say that with sarcasm, but the serious question to you is: did you feel pushback on either one of those fronts that you have going for you?
On sales or media?
Yeah, either one of them. Yeah.
Um, I I don't think I did, but then I don't make a big issue out of that. So when I got the job at Channel 12, one of the reasons I did get the job is they were looking for specifically someone who was bilingual to be able to cover stories in Northwest Georgia area, specifically with a lot of immigrants being down in Dalton, Whitfield County area. They felt
Right.
like they needed someone who was bilingual to be able to cover those stories. So that actually, being bilingual actually helped me get the job. But once I got there, I made it a point to, instead of just always covering and pushing for stories that had to do with the immigrant population, I made it a point to strive to be the best reporter I could be, regardless of what the subject matter was. So I pushed for all varieties of stories. It didn't matter what it was, I wanted to cover it and just do the best job I could. So
Right.
no one could ever say that the only reason, she's a reporter is because she's Hispanic.
Right.
So if
Well,
that
the reason
makes
I was
sense.
asking is that, and I think we've had a conversation about this before. Everybody has stories in sales. Everybody. And
Sure.
I have seen, so I don't even need your story for this. I can say this. I have seen behind the scenes of other females I worked with getting treated differently by clients at times.
Right.
And so that's the reason I was asking, because I didn't know if there were anything that you had experienced that would be unique being a female in the sales
Yeah.
world. And if you haven't, you haven't. I just know that I will not put any names out here, but there are things that I watched that my female coworkers go through that a couple of us guys stepped in sometimes and said, "Do you need help?" And they were looking at us like, "No, I don't need your help. I've got this." I'm like, "I'm sorry, my bad." You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did have a few occasions where I would be working a prospective client in sales, and it seemed like, because especially in advertising,
Mhm.
well, actually, I think in everything, I should say, that some
No, let's pick on
relationships
advertising. I like picking on advertising.
some relationships take longer to create than others, right?
Mhm.
That goes without saying. And but there were a few situations where the relationships never seemed to get to a point where I could actually close the deal. And it was made very apparent to me at some point in all the meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting that the male client was actually had no intention of ever buying anything.
Mhm.
um, that he was fishing possibly for a date or something. So there were a few situations like that, which was a little disappointing. So I have had a few experiences like that. But
I'm going to ask you the question I asked earlier in a different way so I can get a good answer. Are
okay,
you ready for this?
I'm
If
ready.
right now you could not work where you're working and they said you can go be a reporter or you can go back into sales, which one would you do?
uh
You get to
I
pick the
probably
circumstances.
Okay,
You can pick the circumstances,
that's
but
a
which
tough
one?
one. I'd probably want to do both.
Yeah. Oh.
I love, but I can't. Come on, Clint. Why's it got to be one or the
Well,
other
here,
with you?
why don't you do this? Start doing podcasts with Jeff and then go sell it.
I could do that.
You could. Y'all would make a great podcast.
I could do that. Well, I've told him that I've been after him to let me come in and interview him, because I think that I could do a better job than most people about interviewing him, because obviously I know where all the skeletons lie. So I wouldn't let him get away with anything. I know all the questions to ask
If
and
you're a
all
salesperson,
the buttons to push.
if you're a salesperson at heart, I don't know if there's a much better feeling than meeting with a client, coming up with the solution, and that sales,
Yes.
that getting the signature on the contract is such a good feeling.
Yeah.
I I miss that sometimes. I used to thrive on it when I was in sales. That's such a good feeling. It's such a high.
Yeah. It is a good feeling. It's a lot of fun. But I think what I'm doing now is it helps me satisfy both sides of that, because I get to, utilize a lot of my, marketing skills and I get to go out and market the events I'm working on, and I get to do sales, and that I'm soliciting sponsorships to support my events financially. So I get to do all of that,
You're a
and
networker too, though. You believe in networking
I
too.
am.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, networking is key to, I mean, just about, I can't think of many jobs that you do today where you don't need to network in some kind of capacity.
What do you do for fun?
For fun?
Yeah. Do you have a
Fun?
hobby?
What's that?
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, is your husband's doing
Um,
podcasts? He's on the radio. You're doing your job,
mm,
and he's always
mm.
taking the dogs and going out and doing stuff. Is your hobby just learning to appreciate the time when he's not around? Is that your? Is that,
That's terrible. You know he's gonna watch this, so he's gonna know you said
oh yeah,
that.
and by the way, that video you sent me, Jeff, of that poor guy skydiving, and then said Jeff sent me this video, said, "Hey, if you'll go with me on my 60th, I'll pay for it. I'll play rugby. I'll do all kinds of stuff. I'm not jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, especially after I see
Well,
that poor guy."
I turned him down too. So don't feel bad. He tried. I just don't. I've gone hang gliding. I like hang gliding. I
Do you
really want to
really?
go. Yes, I want to go
Yeah.
paragliding. Yeah, it seems and is much safer than you would think it is. Trust me on this. Trust me. And I have issues with heights. I do. And it is wonderful. It's
Some
absolutely wonderful.
somebody below me would be thinking that's the biggest bird ever after what I did on their car. How big is that
What?
bird?
Why? What would you do on their car, Clint?
What would I do in that car, Clint? I'm actually being
Hey,
a smart aleck on the video.
by the way, one more trip down memory lane. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I was either the first, if not first, definitely the second co-host for you on Marketing Mix Radio.
First,
Was I the
you were the
first?
very first. Absolutely. Marketing
That was
Mix
back in
Radio.
the day. Yeah,
You
those were
probably would still be
good
doing it.
times.
Yeah, but you had a job that got
I
very
did.
restrictive of your time.
Yeah, they did. I'm sorry.
That's
I kind of
okay.
miss it though. That was fun. We had a lot of fun.
Now my
We should
co-host
talk
is
about doing that again.
Rich Mazingo. Hey, you know what?
I know. I
When
love
Rich
Rich.
can't make it, you should come
Yeah.
on because we record it like
Okay.
this now.
Okay. Let's do it. Well, we just got to figure out though, yeah, how to fix this so I can actually see you though, because yeah, that'd be a lot more fun.
So if you can't see me, then that explains why I've probably talked over you a little bit. I apologize. You need to
That's
use a
okay.
laptop.
I know I don't have access to my webcam though, so
Oh, did y'all do inappropriate things on your webcam and they blocked y'all?
no, no. They just never gave me access to it before we started working remotely. So it's just an IT thing. They just
Hey,
never told.
I'm gonna bring up some pictures and I did this with your husband a while back and are you okay if I just throw pictures up and you tell me what they're of?
Okay,
Are you nervous a little bit?
a little bit.
All right, here's the deal. Just shake your head immediately and I'll X out
Okay,
if it's not the one you want. What's
okay.
that one?
Oh, so that is me, El Jefe, and my two boys, Cody and Caleb, when we were camping
There we go.
many years ago. Yeah,
See,
good
that's
time.
not bad.
Yeah, that's a good one.
How
Good
about this
memory.
one?
Those are our two dogs. That's Loki, our blue heeler, and our Catahoula Ari. That's the last picture we took of them, actually, just about a week ago. And they do not let us take their pictures, so the fact that we got a good picture of them is pretty amazing.
How do they not let you take a picture? Do they just see the
I
cat when they leave?
Yes, as soon as we pull up and they will be posing like so majestically, and they'll just look perfect. And as soon as we pull the phone out or a camera, they're gone. I mean, all you see is a butt just running another. I don't know why. They're so weird.
Well, you said blue heeler, and then you said what the other
Yeah.
one is. What was it?
Catahoula.
Never heard of it.
Yes. Actually, it's really growing in popularity. That dog is brilliant. She is a brilliant, brilliant dog, and one of the smartest dogs I have ever known in my life. She's ridiculous, and she is a princess. So
What's that place right there?
that is Lula Lake.
That's a pretty place. Is that one of your favorite spots, isn't it?
Gorgeous. It is one of my absolute favorite places in this area. I love it. And that is me, really tiny little picture of me on a stand-up paddleboard.
See, I have never been there, and I would love to go, I
Oh,
think.
you've got to go. Yeah, you've got to go. Well, they have, they've changed the rules out there. Now you used to have to get permission from the owners to go out there. And now they have, I think it's every Saturday or every other Saturday or something, you can go out there. Anybody can. So you can get access to it. It's gorgeous.
I need to do that. Okay, so there's 2 pictures left, and then if you're okay, if you got another 5 minutes after that, I've got a couple
Sure.
more memories. So this one, so in a year 2020, which has just been crap for a lot of
Yes.
people, a lot of your fundraising events went online.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, even if when your events went online, someone that I know still hit their original fundraising goals. Who did that?
Jeff told you. Jeff told you. Well,
what's this right here?
Oh, now I know. Jeff told you.
No, he didn't. I did research. Planning's
He
for dullards.
I can't believe he told you.
That's good though, right?
So, yeah.
You want me to pull it down?
Please.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you the story behind it.
Yes, please.
It's embarrassing. No, so I'm just really humbled by it. So Kat Wright, who is a lovely, lovely friend of mine who works for the city of Chattanooga in the arts department, actually was asked to be a part of a women inspiring women section and special edition of HealthScope magazine recently. And when asked who inspired her, she picked me of all people, which is crazy because she inspires me. So, but of all people, she picked me, and that's why that's there.
That's a very cool thing though. But isn't
Yeah.
that cool? Isn't that I mean, we're sitting here sharing all these memories, but
Yeah.
and I think I'm quite a bit older than you, but it's still good to
I'm sure that's right. I'm sure you
I
are.
think I'm 30 or 40 years older than you.
Something like
Something
that.
decades. But it is good as we age to look around and go, okay, we're making not only family and impact on kids and you're raising money, but there are people out there that look at us and it looks like we might have made a difference somewhere. That's a good thing.
That's a huge thing. Yes.
That's a good
That's
thing.
a huge thing. I remember, and I'll never forget this, it had a huge impact on me. Jeff actually went to an old cemetery and saw a somebody's tombstone that said, if about whoever did, we have no idea who the person is. If this person, if every person that whoever it was that lies there had done a kindness for, came by and planted just one flower, they would lie beneath a field of flowers. And that just, isn't that just the sweetest thing? And that just struck me as just so incredible. And I thought, that's what I want. That's what I want, is to do so many acts of kindness for other people that when I'm gone, that many people remember that I just did one little act of kindness for them.
Well, look at
So,
you being
that's
sweet and in a really crazy, crappy world. Now, I want to show you one more picture, and I need to preface
Okay.
it. I think this picture, you look great, but it could be in my opinion, only one of the pictures that when I see as a guy to Jeff as a friend, I laugh at the most for Jeff.
Uh-oh.
That picture right there. Oh, that makes me so happy. I swear to God, that should be on the front of the American cheese you buy at the
I
store.
know. Well,
God.
and so
I mean, I'm
and
gonna
so
tell you right
yeah,
there,
and you
he
can
gets
laugh as
grief in
much
the
as you want
locker
of this
room.
picture.
Yeah.
Look, okay, because I am not like what I would consider to be like a girly girl either. And I am not like a person that's like into like Valentine's Day and like flowers and like pink stuff and like all
Right.
that you know what I mean? That's just
Mm-hmm.
like not me. Um and so so this is not me either. This
Oh,
picture isn't
there's
either.
no chance
But
he's not whispering in your ear. You know I love you. I swear. You. We're not
yeah,
sending
if
this out.
I did this, yeah, you know I love you if I'm doing
Yeah.
this. But no, he was asked to
Yeah.
be a part of in a Chatter magazine, actually. Um, take part in like a media person's romantic music list
Yeah.
section. Yeah, so he just like listed all the music that he and I love as a couple, and so that was the picture that they took.
One of my favorite pictures. I came across that one and I was like, well, that would be on a billboard if I still had my billboard company. I'm making that's going to be
You
my
rethinking
Christmas
that one?
card. I swear, you know what?
We
That's
could
what I'm doing. I'm sending that out as Clint Powell's Christmas.
oh.
Merry Christmas from the Powells. You're going to get that in the mail this
No,
year.
no,
That
you're
would be
not doing
funny.
that.
I'm going to do it to your house.
I can send you other pictures that you can use.
That makes me happy
Lots.
though.
That
So,
did make me laugh. Oh,
oh
that's good.
yeah, it's fun to laugh. So you do fundraising now. It is
I
it
do.
is like sales. And what attracted you to that job? And do you see? I don't know how things are going to look next year. I had this conversation with Rich Mazingo about baseball because even with a vaccine, because we're so stupid and politicize everything, people, I'm not going to get the vaccine. I'm going to get the
Yeah.
vaccine. I don't know
Already, it's
how.
not even ready yet, and people are already saying that.
I don't know how things are going to look different much in 2021.
Yeah, I know. It's nobody knows, and if anybody tells you they do know, they're full of it. Don't listen to them because nobody knows. I promise you. But yeah. So you know the the reality is we don't know what 2021 is going to look like, and so what we're having to do in trying to plan ahead for our events is we're having to plan for two events. We're having to
Oh
dually
yeah,
plan for an in-person event and a virtual event, in case we have to do a virtual event because we don't know. So that makes it doubly difficult because I think people who don't plan events and haven't had to go through this process, think that it's probably really easy to pull off a virtual event, and in reality it's not. It's a lot of work, especially if you haven't done one before. There's just so much that goes into it, and just trying to figure out the ins and outs of what does this virtual event look like. It's not a simple task, that's
what
for
did you
sure.
learn from doing that? What did it teach you? In other words, let's say next year you can have in-person events again. Did doing
Mhm.
them online teach you some things that you can take with you no matter what you're doing?
Sure. No, absolutely. It taught us a lot about, some additional virtual components and for, social media promotions that we can, incorporate even if we do have an in-person event. We had to be really creative, to do that and to get people engaged. It's a lot easier to engage people in person than it
Yeah.
is virtually, especially when you're asking for donations, even for an extremely worthy cause. Engaging people is a difficult task to do online. So you have to be extremely creative, and you have to figure out ways to really get them hooked and really get them to listen to what your mission is, and why it's so important for them to give to your cause. So we learned a lot about that. So there are a lot of really great ideas that we came away with. And, I'm constantly researching other virtual events, and, how other nonprofits across the world are dealing with the exact same thing, just in case we have to go that route again, too. So I'm learning a lot, a
Well,
lot of virtual world right now.
and I talk with some other nonprofits and some charitable organizations where they're in the process of fundraising, and they've had a lot of the same struggles. They've
Yeah.
lost their golf tournaments, or they've lost their fundraising. But even on the volunteer side, a lot of the folks I'm dealing with, the volunteerism is down simply because people they're scared about getting around other people.
Yes.
And so they not only have lost the dollar donation, but they've lost that work, that sweat equity.
Sure.
And
Yeah, to help. And you talk to any nonprofit and who's, pulling off any in-person event, and you have to have volunteers, to make it
yeah.
happen. Or else, you're not going to be profitable. If you had to hire all the people that it would take to pull off your in-person event, you're probably not going to make any money. So,
Did you have a lot of volunteers help you with your online? I mean, I know you're a humble person and
yes.
I know you get the credit, a
Thank
lot of
you.
stuff, but I also know behind you are people that have skills that you don't have. They have time that you
Yes.
can't spend. So, did a lot of those volunteers go from sweat equity to online equity for you?
Yes, absolutely. I had so many people lending their expertise and just, helping brainstorm ideas and coming up with, for the Cyber Bash this past May. We were actually supposed to have the Believe Bash in April. We had to switch just weeks before we were supposed to hold an in-person event for 1,000 people. We had to switch to a virtual event. We pushed
Wow.
it back to May, made it a week-long event, and it still took a lot of hustling to be able to pull it off. We had, a week-long of activities and themes every day, and we had an online auction, and someone came up with this really cool idea to do a virtual cooking class where we had a lot of people participate in that. So yeah, a lot of people just kind of came together and brainstormed these great ideas of how we could pull this off, and it ended up being extremely successful. But I could have never done that, myself. It took a lot of people, behind the scenes, just trying to figure out all the different components of that.
Well, and on
So,
and it seems weird to me because I've done a lot of events. And I
mhm.
love it's tangible. It's I can touch the table. I can see the
Yes,
decorations. There's an
right.
energy in the room. I can see the money go. There's an energy there. An online event, you have to artificially generate some energy amongst your team, and there's nothing tangible.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
hard to
that's a
gauge.
yeah, exactly. That's a great description. Yeah, the energy is just not there. You
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how exciting it is, when you're recording it or creating it, the reality is the person that's watching it is sitting in their, kitchen or dining room or living room and just watching it, and it becomes a very kind of passive event. It's not even an event anymore. And just think about how easy it is to tune out a commercial on television, or
Not on
or
radio though, or podcast, but TV. Yeah.
right. Right.
Yeah.
No, not the
No.
podcast. It's completely different. But the reality is it's an easy tune out factor. So again, it gets back to, how do you create that magic without having that, in person conversation and energy and back and forth, you know
And the great world we live in too.
conversation.
in the great world we live in, you can hit your goals this year. We'll give you a pat on the back. And now everybody's going, that's great. But what about next year?
Yeah.
Well, I'm still tired. I don't care. What about next year?
Exactly.
Do I get a Christmas? No, I want to know what we're going to do next year. Hey, I need to give 2 shout outs. Diane Cashman said she loved Wally. And then Kevin Luss said, I'm normally full of it anyway. So in 2021, that won't change anything for him. So thank you, Kevin Luss. I appreciate that.
I love Kevin.
He's a good guy.
Oh, he's the best.
He is a good guy. So I'm going to encourage you, like I did with El Jefe, and I know I wasn't the only voice in his ear. I think you and him once every month should do a podcast together.
Okay.
From this, just y'all's little cubby hole up in the world, wherever you guys are, whatever country road you're living off of, that Jeff tries to has to take him 5 hours to get home, and he has to climb the mountain and I don't know, zip tie over to the cabin.
Because since I'm the one that has to set up his podcast for him anyway, I might as well be the one. Well,
wait a minute. Here's real quick. You can't see me, but I want to show everybody else. This is what Jeff Style looks like when I get on the camera with him. He's sitting straight back, not touch. His hands are in his lap like he's in church, and you can just hear Rebecca touching it, moving the camera, and then every now and then a hand come in and comb his hair. Like, get your hair down, sweetheart. You look homeless. What are you doing?
Notice I did not have an assistant. I had to get myself ready.
Well, he did the favor of taking the dogs, though. He
did. Yes, he did. Yay. So I'm going to challenge you. Here's what I would like to do.
Uh-oh.
And you can't say no. This is a done deal. This is a done deal. If you say no, I'm going to call Rich Mazinko. And he's going to make you do it.
All right, let's hear
it. I think the next podcast we do, I should interview you. That's what I think.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do I get to be like Biden, where I give you all the questions to ask me?
You can, but I'm not going to ask them.
That'll piss Jeff off. I just did that to piss Jeff off. He'll come in and go, that's not what happens. That's Trump that does that. Trump, my blood pressure up. I think that would be fun. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
We'll come up with a time. And just
minds want to know.
Well, and just to set the record straight, the reason we went sideways a little bit and I asked about sales and being a woman is because some of the stuff we had talked about before coming on was we wanted to share some stories about sales and from your perspective. So I didn't want people to think I was just poking at you about that stuff out of nowhere. You and I had talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, we did. That's cool. We're good. Okay.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was.
I'm going to end it with that picture again. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that.
Just so you can laugh some more.
You know what would be good, though, without a podcast? We ought to all, where we can social distance around a campfire and get a bunch of people together and share a bunch of stories about old radio. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Because those are
so
some fun
many
stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good
I'm glad you're doing good.
Thank you. Me too. I'm glad you're doing well.
Well, and I will say this, I'll end this with a kind note to you two. I'm trying to figure out a good way to say it to where it doesn't sound too sappy, but your world and Styles and Jeff Styles' world has changed a lot over the last 3 years. And it has done my heart good the last 6 months, to, even though in COVID, to watch where you guys are compared to where you were a year and a half ago, that I'm just happy. So I'm happy for y'all. That makes me happy.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Getting better. Thank you so much.
Bye, Rebecca.
Bye.
See you, everybody. Yep.